In today's halacha, we're going to discuss the laws and customs related to the performance of a Peruzbal. The Torah commands us that at the end of the 7th year cycle, one must annul all loans that he is owed by other Jews. It is thus forbidden for the lender to go over to the borrower and ask him to pay back the loan. The Peruzbal is a process that the Chachamim, that the sages instituted, which thus allows and gives halachic permission to the lender to collect the loan and ask for the loan even after the Shemitah year. The Gemara states in Maseches Gittin that it is for this reason it is called Peruzbal, as the word Peruz refers to rich, while the word Bul refers to takana. And this means that this was an institution to help the wealthy people in order so they can continue giving loans and expect it to be paid back. This coming year, the year Tavshin Ayin Hey, is a Shemitah year, and hence the laws of Shmitas Ksafim are in effect. The Ramban holds that it's effective min ha-Torah, however most Rishonim hold that it's only effective midirabanan. Some Rishonim even hold that it's not effective at all. But practically, the way we rule is that we are chayshish, that it is at least a rabbinical obligation to nullify the loans, even now, during the Shemitah year. Initially, it's only the end of the Shemitah year, meaning Rosh Hashanah of next year, which nullifies the loans. However, since there are Rishonim, the opinion of the Rosh that holds that even the beginning of the Shemitah year nullifies the loans, therefore, based on the ruling of the Alter Rebbe in the laws of loans regarding Peruzbal, the Alter Rebbe rules, and the Rebbe publicized this ruling, that one is to perform a Peruzbal at the end of the 6th year before the beginning of Shemitah. In order to suspect for these opinions that hold that the beginning of Shemitah nullifies the loans. Therefore, on this Erev Rosh Hashanah, in a few days, it is a custom amongst all Chasidei Chabad and many other Yidden that are scrupulous and want to follow the opinion of the Alter Rebbe and these Rishonim to perform a Peruzbal on this Erev Rosh Hashanah. Likewise, also next year, before Rosh Hashanah, we perform a Peruzbal once again to cover any new loans that have taken place, as well as to cover the opinions of the Rishonim that hold that it is only the end of the 7th year that nullifies the loan. The Rebbe stated that even if one is not owed any money by another person, out of the great belovedness towards this mitzvah, he should specifically loan someone money and then perform a Peruzbal to show his chavivus, his belovedness for the mitzvah. It's also brought down in the Ben Ish Chai and other svarim, and the Ktei Shulchan brings it down in his compilation he wrote on Peruzbal, that it's a custom of Anshe Maaseh that after they perform the Peruzbal to loan someone an object or an item or a food or money and then specifically not collect it back in order to perform the mitzvah of Shmitas Ksafim in its most literal sense. Women are obligated in the laws of Shmitas Ksafim just like men, and therefore, if a woman is owed money, she too must perform a Peruzbal lichatchila in order to be able to collect the loan after the Shemitah year. Meaning, so this Erev Rosh Hashanah, she should likewise perform a Peruzbal in order to collect the debt after this Rosh Hashanah. Nonetheless, a married woman, there's no real need for her to perform a Peruzbal, as what she owns is owned by her husband. However, a single girl, or a widow, or a divorcee, then it is proper for her to perform a Peruzbal, and this is very easy, as a person can appoint someone else to be their shliach to perform a Peruzbal. And therefore, they can just ask anyone that's going to perform a Taras Nadarim to also have them in mind and perform the Peruzbal on their behalf. The performance of the Peruzbal is very simple. It doesn't even have to be written on a document. Simply, a person stands in front of a court of 3 kosher Jews, and before the beginning of the Shemitah year, he declares to them, I hereby hand to you all the debts that are owed to me, and through doing so, I should be allowed to collect them whenever I desire. In the Hebrew term, Hareini Ma'aser Lachem, Kol Chovesh Sheyesh Li Sheg Ba'asim Kol Zman She'ertz. The mere saying of this statement in front of 3 kosher Jews is what validates the Peruzbal and validates the collection of the debt after the Shemitah year has begun. Another way of doing so is signing a document that has been put out by 3 Rabbanim or Rosh Hashiva and 2 other Yidden, as the Rebbe The Rebbe motivated this to be done, that there should be a star Peruzbal, so it can go around and many, many Jews can just sign it instead of having to appear before the Beis Din, and that will merit a lot more Jews in performing this mitzvah. And therefore, as Chassidim, it is a mitzvah and a mitzvah of the Rebbe to try to get as many Yidden as possible to perform the Peruzbal, which is such an easy process. B'diavad, in the end of the day, if one did not perform the Peruzbal, we paskin, based on the Ashkenazi custom, that it is nevertheless permitted for him to collect the money after Shemitah. We will not go into the halachic details behind this, and it can be found on the website Shulchanaruchharav.com in the section under the Peruzbal. There's a lot of different things that are considered loans and people don't even pay attention to. Such as, for example, when someone lends their next door neighbor a loaf of bread or a few eggs and expects it to be given back, since that same object is not going to be given back, rather another dozen eggs or another loaf of bread, this is considered just like a loan. And even for this, lechatchila, Peruzbal is required. So to a person that has a bank account in a Jewish-owned bank, if he has money in the bank, it's considered that he has lent money to the bank, and therefore a Peruzbal is required. Likewise, a person who works for a Jewish employer, then if that employer owes him a salary, and meaning that the salary is due before Rosh Hashanah, and he hasn't yet paid him, then that owed salary is considered a debt, and a Peruzbal is hence initially required before this Rosh Hashanah in order to secure the collection of this salary according to all opinions. All loans that aren't due to be paid back until after this Rosh Hashanah, then it is not necessary at all to perform a Peruzbal for those loans. Likewise, charity organizations are not required to perform a Peruzbal. Likewise, all loans which had a collateral received in their exchange do not require a Peruzbal to be performed. To summarize, to conclude with a short story, the Nitzig Avril tells over that when he was in Eretz Yisrael, he once spoke to the Bnei Menachem, the Rebbe of Gur, regarding the Rebbe's takana, the Rebbe's publication, that a person should perform the Peruzbal also on Erev Shemitah of the 6th year. Meaning at the end of this year, which is the 6th year, before Rosh Hashanah, we perform the Peruzbal. Even though Min Adin, really you only have to perform it next year because that's the main way we paskin, as we spoke in the beginning. And the Bnei Menachem answered that the Lubavitcher Rebbe did a very great thing by having Jews perform the Peruzbal also this year before Rosh Hashanah, and suspecting for those Rishonim. As the idea of Shmitas Ksafim, of annulling debts, is not only below in this world, but also in the upper worlds. And when in this world we follow the laws of Shmitas Ksafim, annulling a debt that another Jew owes us, so too in the upper world Hashem annuls our debts that we owe Hashem for all of the blessings that He has given us in Bnei Chaim Azayni, in children, and wealth, and health, and Parnasa. And the same way we follow the laws of perform a Peruzbal, so too Hashem will follow the laws of Shmitas Chayvis, and He will abolish all of our debts and give us all Ksiva v'Chesima Teiva.